Harlan County, created in 1819 in the Appalachian Mountains, covers about 465 square miles and contains 4 mountain ranges, with Black Mountain being the highest point in Kentucky at over 4,000 feet. Most of the county is covered by forests, and the timber is very profitable. However, it's what lies below the surface that is the most valuable: coal. Coal had been discovered and mined for personal and community use for decades before becoming an established way of life around 1916. It wasn't until the early 1900s the county would discover just how valuable it was. Knowing the value of the coal and looking ahead to the future, 2 men became wealthy as a result. James B. McCreary and John C. Mayo used the broad form deeds to acquire thousands of acres each. McCreary sold options to major coal producers, while Mayo gained the mineral rights for about $1 an acre. T.J. Asher extended his Wacioto and Black Mountain Railroad into Harlan County in 1911. With a railroad now in the county, the coal industry would have a way to grow rapidly. In 1911, when the first commercial coal shipment left Terry's Fork by rail, the lives of those who lived in the county would change forever. Coal companies recruited their miners, mainly Eastern European immigrants, at the docks upon their arrival to America. Coal companies realized they would have to provide for all the workers they recruited, who had nothing to start with. So, they went into the remote areas and from the ground up created camps, towns, and communities to house miners and their families. The companies felt they could provide a sense of serenity as long as the miners obeyed the rules of the coal town, which included prohibition of the UMW. In the 1920s, the population had tripled from that of the previous decade to about 31,500, but coal towns fell upon hard times upon the Great Depression.
It has been a blessing, and the reason that these 2 towns are here is because of the coal that is situated in these hills. Unfortunately for us, coal mining is in a down period of turmoil right now, and we've laid off probably about 5,000 miners within the last year.
By the 1940s, the population had topped out at about 75,000. Over time, the 1940s population dwindled down to the lowest it's been since before the 1920s, to around 29,000 in 2010. As more and more mines opened, more miners went underground, and more miners died when disaster struck. Between 1875 to 1975, over 600 disasters occurred that included more than 5 deaths.
And if they just check the statistics of how many people gets hurt, how many people die, they'll find out how much safer a union mines is. If you take the money out of it and take all the other benefits, take all of it out of it, just concentrate on the safety issue. You know, you have no recourse.
So as improvements in safety were acclimated along with mechanized operations, those numbers would become lower. Between 1884 to 1934, there were 73 dust or gas explosions that occurred. Collapsing roofs were a constant danger, and ventilation continued to be a problem the miners faced each day. Those who entered the mines risked it all every day. It would continue to remain so, a dangerous place to work. It would take years to improve conditions. Manual hand tools became machines, and carts pulled by mules were replaced by motors. The tracks going underground once were wood that now are steel. Oil lamps worn on the front of hats were improved to helmets with carbide lights and are now battery-operated lights. Miners suffered at the hands of black lung, a disease that occurs when coal dust attacks the lungs, causing scarring or cancer, killing hundreds of miners yearly. Mining disasters can occur when the pillars left to hold the mine's roof are removed or weakened, causing a collapse. Miners could also hit pockets of methane gas, causing explosions. The explosions were the most catastrophic as they incinerated nearly everything within the mine, and often led to fires burning out of control. One way to close a mine forever. It was also in the 1930s the coal wars that occurred in Harlan County made national news. This conflict would continue for nearly a decade. The coal companies wanted to control the miners without opposition or restriction, while the miners wanted to have more choices, safety, and better living conditions overall. The companies felt that the union and the federal government were trying to dictate what they could do. Miners were paid by the coal company in company script. This was the coal company's own printed personal money. It only had value within that particular coal camp and, frankly, was worthless anywhere else. The miners didn't have money to buy their own homes, therefore they lived in company housing, which was often substandard. They didn't own their own property. It was owned by the company. Since the miners were constantly in debt to the company, they could only purchase groceries and dry goods from the notorious company store, their hopes of having a better life slowly diminishing. They took out the rent for the home the miners and their families lived in, even though the company supplied it, and it left very little for the miners to support their families. The miners sought the help of the union, and once the organizers entered the county to help, that's when things went from bad to worse. If there was no union, then the miners would remain oppressed. The miners felt the union would give them the opportunity to fight the authority of the companies. Miners suffered at the hands of the mine guards and deputies who were hired for intimidation purposes. The companies went so far as to send spies in to find out who were sympathetic to the union. Once these miners were discovered to be activists for the union, they were fired, evicted, and blacklisted.
At the time, I was considered a fairly skilled person. I was a machinist, and I could operate various pieces of equipment underground, and I was a repairman. But when you went to other coal companies, the co-operators would talk amongst themselves and send information back and forth. And one company said, "What do you do?" "Well, I got Boston papers. I'm a repairman, machinist. I can run about anything." And he said, "Well, we can sure use you." And then they'd take and pull out a little old pad, and they'd look at it and say, "No, we ain't got nothing for you." And everywhere in the county was the same way. So I had to leave and go to Bell County to find work.
Hundreds lost their jobs, and most of them moved to Everts, which was one of 3 non-company towns in Harlan County. The UMW had to keep organizing in the county. President Roosevelt's administration joined with the UMW, giving the organizers the freedom they needed to enter the county. Once mediation and negotiation began, the new agreements did not switch power with those involved, but it did balance the power and benefit the miners. When the strike began, every mine in the county closed for the first time. The success of the Union couldn't have happened without the government getting involved. In the end, Harlan County became a better place for the miners.
I think the safety issue was the main issue. It wasn't about money, it wasn't about benefits. The whole thing with me and the union was that it was such a safer place to work.
Harlan County at one time was one of the most dangerous places to live, particularly during the struggle with mine operators. Caused Harlan County to be known nationally as Bloody Harlan. This has since changed for the better. Many people came to the coal camps taking the chance that the unions would give them a better life, opportunities, and something they didn't have, a future. Harlan County became one of the wealthiest counties in Kentucky and the nation prior to the Great Depression due to the high quality of coal that it kept deep underground. The miners did prosper in the 1920s once, with many leaving the impoverished mountains to pursue mining. They enjoyed the fast-paced life in the coal camps and towns. Prosperity did come, but with a price. Those who left the mountains enjoyed a better life in the camps and towns. This kept many from ruining what they had going for them by bringing in the Union. It must also be noted that even though there were living restrictions and rules in the camps, there were a few places that provided a good life. Benham and Lynch were two of those places. They both provided their employees with the best education, manicured lawns, nice homes, and other amenities. Another well-known figure purchased land to mine in the early 1920s in order to have the resources he needed for his many endeavors. Henry Ford opened mines and offered the best working conditions. He offered the safest mines, the best wages, and the nicest homes near Wallins at Kentucky. He purchased the Banner Fork Coal Company and created Fordson Coal Company. In Kentucky, his coal company produced 3,000 tons daily. It was estimated that the mine held 8 million tons of resources. He provided a quality of life that was good for his employees. He too was against the idea of a union, however. For the operators, they felt unions were going to kill the southern industry. They didn't want what they perceived as the North dictating how they were to do things. They saw it as Northerners trying to make the South fall with higher wages and therefore the rising costs destroying any profits. If they were forced to give higher wages, the loss in profits would destroy their businesses, they felt, and they would lose contracts. It seemed to fall back to the mindset of the Civil War with the North against the South. Before the Great Depression, the miners were making good money from the mines in the absence of a union. Since the first commercial shipment of coal in 1911 to today, the county has experienced prosperity and hardships. Harlan County is still considered remote because there are no interstates or parkways nearby to bring in the traffic and business. This has kept Harlan County from progressing with the rest of the nation. Even when the automobile and railroads were introduced, it kept its isolation. Because of its past, the coal wars, murders, and its continued seclusion, the people have lived in the past in conditions comparable to third world nations. Harlan County and the people have received negative press both in the newspapers and on television programs. This has created the stereotypical ideas and perceptions that exist even today. The typical image thought of when someone mentions Harlan County to this day have visions of a hillbilly with a jug of moonshine, a shotgun, barefoot, all of which do not represent the county and its people. The people are typically hard-working, with strong values and families who are big-hearted and honorable. They are loyal, generous, musical, and traditional.
The one thing that I have here at the museum is I go through like 2,000-3,000 kids a year, and I have groups from Canada and Australia and just all over the world. The one thing that comes out of this person's mouth when they come here is, "You have the prettiest mountains." they'll say your mountains are so much prettier than the Smokies or anywhere. And says the people are so friendly. So the biggest problem we've got is when you stop to talk to somebody, they won't quit. They just keep talking to us. And like here, you don't have anything to worry about. There is no tourist. There's no bad people, you know. And very seldom ever hear of a car getting stolen unless it's somebody's grandson, you know. But we have our crime, but nothing like Chicago.
But today, Harlan County is making a change. The people are hospitable and are eager to change their negatives to positives. The area has been highlighted in songs referring to coal town life and in films and television. Harlan County has an awareness of its natural beauty that can be a great source of income. The very thing that has restricted the county from progressing with the rest of the country is the most valuable resource it has: mountains. The county offers many sights to take in on your visit, and the hospitality is by far the best there is anywhere. With the county covered in forests, it stands to reason there would be parks. Blanton Forest State Nature Preserve is Kentucky's largest and most diverse old-growth forest. It boasts knobby rock that overlooks the forest and the Watts Creek Trail. Kentucky State Forest is the oldest state-owned park the state acquired in 1919 and covers 4,000 acres. Kingdom Come State Park offers nearly 1,300 acres of unspoiled wilderness, including a huge stone shooting 290 feet out of the mountain at a 45-degree angle, known as Raven Rock. It also contains other rock formations like Log Rock and a natural sandstone bridge. Martin's Fork Lake area features 340 acres of fishing, boating, and swimming. Cranks Creek Lake features a variety of fishing, whether you're fishing for rainbow trout, large or smallmouth bass, bluegill, or channel catfish. You're sure to catch something good. The county may be covered in forests, but it also offers waterfalls to seek out. There are even opportunities there to canoe and kayak several parts of the rivers, ranging from Class 1 rapids to even Class 4 rapids. With the beautiful mountain vistas as a backdrop and the scenery available, there are many photographic opportunities to catch and create amazing photographs. You can pay your respects for the fallen miners by visiting the coal miner monuments in Benham, near the Coal Museum, and in Harlan on Main Street. Another place to see objects, photos, and other exhibits is the Kentucky Coal Mining Museum in Benham. There you will find 4 levels with a plethora of what life was like in the area. If you want to go deeper, then you will have to take the Portal 31 mine tour in nearby Lynch. You will actually go underground and view exhibits following an immigrant and his son through the years and what life was like underground. In 1917, mine number 31 opened in Lynch. In 1996, it was donated to a museum showcasing the Kentucky mining legacy. Portal 31 exhibition mine has given the residents, the local economy, and the city itself a source of income that is needed. Lynch has become one of the best preserved coal camps in the country. Not only can you tour the mine, the site also offers a 1920s lamp house, a bathhouse, a restored L&N Railroad depot, and a coal tipple. Its preservation can inform and entertain generations for years while preserving coal mining history. 2 miles from the portal on Highway 160 is an old Benham Coal Camp Commissary building containing the Kentucky Coal Museum. Here you will find the old International Harvester Commissary building that houses the museum. International Harvester created the towns of Benham and Lynch. There are 4 floors to take in and see what life was like in the area. There are thousands of items on display from the company hospital, the commissary itself, a nearby miner's home, as well as other objects. There are artifacts, antiques, a floor plan of what a typical mine on the surface and underground would look like, as well as a Loretta Lynn exhibit on the 3rd floor. Very fitting since she was a coal miner's daughter. There are hundreds of photos of people in the area, mining accidents, and other evidence of life. There was also a mock mine exhibit in the basement. Outside, there are photographic opportunities with a large block of coal resting in a cart, and a 2-ton block of coal that has been specifically cut for the museum. There is also a 1940s model electric locomotive that was used to carry miners underground and other machinery. Right across from the museum is the Benham Schoolhouse Inn, a restored school that has been turned into a beautiful place to stay. It gives one another opportunity to step back in time and experience the hospitality of the people. All of the attractions are created to bring in the much-needed tourist dollar to this area.
There's not a time frame that when this economy is going to pick back up and our coal production will pick up and the need for employees. But in the meantime, we have these 2 exhibits plus the mountains.
So, what do you do about abandoned old coal camp roads? You repurpose them and turn the area into the #1 trail town in the east, with off-road areas. It is becoming so popular that visitors from across the state and even Alaska ride the 150 trails. There have been groups as far away as Germany and Spain to vacation on the trails. The town of Everett is showcasing itself as a hot destination. If you're looking for adventure, this is the place to come. It's the model town in adventure tourism. They offer miles of trails through the mountains, covering over 7,000 acres. The trails offer every skill level rated by classes, including Class 4 and Class 5 for 4-wheelers, off-road vehicles, and trucks. They even have obstacles for 4x4s. The elevation of the trails go up to 3,300 feet, with breathtaking views from the top of the Appalachian Mountains. There are nearby campsites and other lodgings. Since the town implemented an ordinance allowing 4-wheelers to ride on the city streets, you can park your trailer and never have to constantly load and unload. And the best part about it all, it's open all day and night every day of the year. There are plenty of other things to do and see in Harlan County. Its seclusion gives multiple opportunities for recreation. There's hiking, camping, hunting, fishing, horseback riding, biking, canoeing, kayaking, the ATV park, and for those adventurous souls, zip lining. The one great advantage and positive aspect Harlan County has is the very history that defines it. Its location is instrumental and ideal for the growing tourism and for promoting the area. The past has been hard on the county, but the people of Harlan County see its potential in what it has to offer, and they wish to share it.
And we have many trails for 4-wheeling. We have zip lines here in the county, so tourism is going to play a big part in the livelihood and the sustainment of this county for years to come until the economy and the coal industry comes back around.
If you come to Harlan and visit this place, you'll fall in love with it.
There's a place where the mountains seems to touch the sky, where the beautiful blooming laurels stand out with brilliant blooms of white. In between the mountain ridges, waters flow so gently down. Mountain streams of cool water can be seen for miles around. Underneath these majestic mountains, coal is layered in many seams. Many men have lost their lives there, trying to support their families. There's a different breed of people living in this mountain land, neighbor helping neighbor, reaching out to their fellow man. Some call it southeastern Kentucky. Its borders lies between 2 states. This will always be my mountain home place. Harlan County is its name.
My attitude until Rock fell on his head back in '92. When a man